So we're going to go back to the State of the Union a little bit. And why are we going back to the State of the Union? Because Biden has been on this tour. So it's tradition, and we're going to talk about a few traditions going in because we know that Monday was the Super Bowl. And I'm recording before the Super Bowl, so I don't have my input of who won, who lost. We might tackle that on Thursday's episode when we release it, but we're going back because tradition going to the Super Bowl, or even after, well, let's say like this, not going to the Super Bowl, but the tradition of the president after the State of the Union is to go and do a tour. This is to go ahead and talk about things he said at the State of the Union. Now, on our last episode, we broke down a lot of the lies that President Biden said at the State of the Union. We talked about the economy, we talked about energy, we talked about the border, and we just went ahead and we dove into a lot of stuff that the president said that was not correct. Well, I'm going to play a clip from the State of the Union because as he's going on this tour and he's continuing to lie, there's one major lie that he is continuing to push. And I want to go ahead and show you what he said at the State of the Union. If you are listening on the audio side, you're going to hear the audio. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the lie that he pushed at the State of the Union. This is one time where the Republican Party booed him. So Hezekiah, go ahead and play clip one, please.
Agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's the majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
All right, so he said that he wanted to that some in the Republican Party want to sunset Medicaid and Social Security. Now, how did he get this? Because he also said, if you do not believe me, because he was about to say not all of y'all, but some of y'all, where he said, contact my office. I have the paperwork and everything. And he has done this on the road where he has a pamphlet. This is coming from Rick Scott of Florida. And now this isn't recently. This is a couple of years ago that he's quoting this, where Rick Scott put up a proposal, and it wasn't outright cutting Social Security and Medicaid. It was restricting it to where certain people could have it and stuff like that. There's a lot of legalistic things about it that you can go ahead and look into. But so this is why I'm bringing this up. Ladies and gentlemen, in that State of the Union, the Republicans were saying no. And if you watch the video, Biden looked like he was puzzled. Because Biden, one reason was puzzled because for years, and this is going back to when Rush was on the air. I remember Rush talking about this. Rush would say how the Democrat Party, that was one of their play cards that they used before they get to an election. It was the race card, and it was, hey, the Republican Party wants to push over grandma off a cliff. If you remember, I think it was when Mitt Romney was running. They had a little cartoon where Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan was pushing off grandma off the physical cliff, and her Medicaid was cut out, or her Social Security was cut out. This is a play that the Democrat Party uses a lot, ladies and gentlemen. They go ahead and they use this to gain votes because they're trying to scare people. Because, see, the government gives Social Security and Medicaid. A lot of this is been rewarded to the person that works for it. If you have a W-2, this is tax season right now. If you go to the tax auditor or the person that files your taxes, they go ahead and you look on your W-2, there is a section where it pulls out Social Security and Medicaid. That's for you when you get older and you retire, you can have that. But Biden is pushing an age-old lie. Biden is pushing that the Republican Party wants to go ahead and take away Medicaid. They want to take away Social Security. And ladies and gentlemen, not one Republican, including Rick Scott, wants to take that away from you. Not one. Not one. So I'm now bringing this back up. Why am I bringing this up? Because the president on Wednesday and Thursday made two stops on this tour that he's doing to promote the State of the Union and to really refabricate his lies or tell his people. Now, remember, on the road, these are supposed to be supporters. So they're not going to boo him like they did at the State of the Union. See, he didn't like this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm seeing this right now on a side note. I'm seeing leftists say, oh my goodness, this was disrespectful to the President of the United States. Marjorie Taylor Greene calling him a liar. Marjorie Taylor Greene and the other Republicans booing him and making their voices heard. Ladies and gentlemen, they say this is disrespectful, but what they did to Donald Trump? It was Hakeem Jeffries, and I caught this on TikTok. I saved the video, but Hakeem Jeffries went ahead and said that the State of the Union was chaotic. This whole State of the Union, it was full of disrespect. How he didn't understand how the Republican Party could disrespect the president like that. But only 2 short years ago, well, now 3 short years ago, Donald Trump's up there and the Democrat Party is booing him. Remember when they all wore white and Donald Trump was in the middle of his speech? What about Nancy Pelosi tearing up his speech in front of a live audience on national television? That really made the Democrat Party look like they were respecting the President of the United States. See what the Democrat Party does, ladies and gentlemen? They say, hey, respect the President of the United States unless it's not one of their candidates. Or it's not one of their presidents. You don't have to respect them. But like we said, so Biden's on this trip. He don't get booed right now. He can say willy-nilly what he wants. And he goes ahead and he says, during the speech, this happened on Wednesday, Biden went ahead, going on his speech, said during the speech, target leading Republicans like Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Rick Scott of Florida, and Mike Lee of Utah. The president read a brochure from Scott's campaign which called for a federal spending legislation to sunset in 5 years, subject to vote in Congress that could preserve programs. This is clearly and obvious an idea aimed at dealing with all the crazy new laws our Congress has been passing of late, Scott later said. Joe Biden is confused to suggest that this means I want to cut Social Security and Medicaid is a lie, and it is a dishonest move from a very confused president. Ladies and gentlemen, at other points in Biden's Wednesday speech, the president accused Senator Ron Johnson and Mike Lee of wanting to phase out Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicaid and medical card. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is showing Biden's incompetency. This is showing how Biden is running with an age-old lie that they used back in the 80s against Ronald Reagan and every other Republican since, that Republicans want to cut spending and Medicaid, Social Security and Medicaid, and that's the farthest thing from the truth. He mentioned 3 Republican senators that are some of the most conservative ones out there, and he's trying to push that the Republican Party wants to cut Medicaid. They want to cut Social Security. He also did it in Florida. A really rich, battleground state, comes out and says that they want to cut spending and Medicaid. Now, this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Republicans aren't trying to kill Social Security and Medicaid, and Biden knows that. That's from an article of the Daily Wire, and it's an opinion piece by Joseph Carl. Ladies and gentlemen, they're not. The president knows that they're not doing this. The president knows that the Republican Party is not trying to cut Medicaid. They're not trying to cut Social Security. So why is the president doing this? Well, I've been mentioning it throughout the whole segment. Because Biden, this is a way to get to the Republican Party. It's kind of funny if you look at it. You can have the Democrats doing as bad as could be. Their economy could be down like it is now. They can go ahead. They can be inflation going through the roof like now. You have the Democrat Party's playbook. It's bad right now. The economy's bad. The nation's bad under a president like this. And where do they go to? The race card. The Social Security bit. They go through all this stuff. Why? Because this makes people, no matter how bad the government is run or how bad a candidate is doing, if you go to Social Security and Medicaid, people, the government's not going to give us our money, and they're more reliant on the government, so it tends for them to vote Democrat. Now, like I said, I believe I said this in the last show, that I'm happy that the Republican Party stood up. I'm happy the Republican Party went ahead and booed him. This was not the only time they booed him. They booed him on a multiple occasions, even though his own Democrat Party booed him. And I don't have the clip. I should have got that clip when they were laughing at him. Only needing fossil fuels for 10 years. Come on, man, as Biden would say. This is ridiculous, and this confirms that Mr. Biden is probably running in 2024. He hasn't announced it yet, and I wouldn't announce it until later on in the year. That's my personal opinion. But for him to start throwing jabs at the Republican Party, and him starting to trying to get into this phase of, oh, we need to go ahead. The Republican Party is cutting Medicaid. They're cutting Social Security. This proves right here that the State of the Union was just a campaign speech. Because I said in the last episode, the State of the Union, they didn't have nothing talking about how the State of the Union was. Yeah, he did mention some accomplishments and some legislative accomplishments he did. But that was more of a campaign speech. It was more of a campaign speech to pass his agenda or to get his agenda across. And ladies and gentlemen, I think it is just disgusting. But you know what's sad? And this is going to be my last point before we go on to the next segment. Americans are going to believe this. Uninformed voters. If you remember, that was one of Russia's famous quote, an uninformed voter is going to hear Biden on TV because CBS is going to push this, NBC is going to push this, CNN is going to push this. All these major news networks are going to push this, and all they're going to hear is Biden on television saying the Republican Party wants to cut Social Security and the government wants the Republicans want to cut Medicaid. And people with elderly relatives are going to say, oh, my goodness, Uncle Joe and Aunt Sue ain't going to go ahead and have their benefits no more. Oh, we can't vote for a Democrat. We can't vote for a Republican. We're going to have to vote for a Democrat. And they're not going to look at none of this stuff. They're not going to go look and see how Biden is lying like an informed voter would. But that's why we need to push shows like this on the air. This is why I always ask y'all for shares and likes and subscriptions to this show, because this gets the truth out there. This gets the truth out there that Biden is not looking for the betterment of the country. He is looking to stay in office. And he will do it by hook or crook and lies. And we're already seeing it, that he's trying to push lies going forward in this year so far.